How do you control that pesky voice in your head that just won't leave you alone? We'll cover that and more today. Most human beings walk around with a narrator in their head, a voice that is dictating how you should think, how you should feel, how you should interpret, how you should judge, how you should live your life. When this voice is positive, we're okay with it. We can handle its suggestions. But when that voice turns negative and it starts to make you afraid, make you feel bad about yourself, make you feel angry towards other people, then you could say that voice has turned into something of a problem. So what can we do about it? Are you stuck with this constant voiceover of your experience? The only way to really be able to control this voice is to understand why it's there in the first place. And if you look closely, if you feel into it closely, you'll sense that there was a time long ago, just after you came into the world, where you didn't have that voice. It wasn't really developed just yet. And all you were was this innocent, pure consciousness, just looking around, enjoying life, taking everything in as it is, without any judgments. And then, by and by, you started to grow up. You started to soak up all of the opinions and judgments from the world, from those in your family, your friends, the social environment you grew up in. And eventually, rather than taking their voices as advice on how to live, you started to kind of create your own, combine them together to form your own voice based on those voices. And that suddenly became me, the voice in the head. So that innocence that you started out with, it didn't go anywhere. That freedom of just being didn't go anywhere. But now there was this layer, this superficial sense of interpreting the world superimposed on top of that innocence. And that voice in the head has stayed with you all the way up till now. So how do we control it? Well, it's not so much about controlling it as much as it is about seeing that it's there because of control. Because we took in those voices when we were very young, formed our own voice in an attempt to control life, which of course, as you've discovered by now, is impossible. So that voice is, you could say, the attempt to control life. So you don't need to necessarily control that voice as much as you just need to see that whenever it's talking, it's trying to help you survive in a world that is kind of weird and crazy. So how do you do that? Well, the more that you see that it's there trying to help you, trying to do the impossible, control life, the more that it will start to quiet down, because you'll see that, oh, well, that's not ever going to happen, really. And you'll start to then see life again through these eyes of innocence, innocent consciousness, pure consciousness. And you'll start to develop a new way of interacting with life, one that doesn't require you to consult with a second authority. And if you think about it, what is that voice in the head? What does that mean to our personality? That voice in the head, for lack of a better word, is the voice of God, right? We will do whatever it says, right? When it's talking, it is the authority. Even if a voice of God spoke to you, you'd first consult with this voice to make sure it was a good idea, right? This is the voice. But, as the religious scriptures say, it's a false God. It's not the real God. So what we're really talking about here is trust. Trusting life. It takes practice. It takes practice to not listen to a voice that's been speaking in your ear ever since you were little, a voice that you've trusted wholeheartedly. So it takes practice, it takes time, but it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It really depends on how tired you are of taking its advice. Just do a quick assessment of your whole life right now. How much good has it done for you? It tries to, make things turn out good for you. But, that voice doesn't really know what good is because it's based on other people's ideas of good. And because they're other people's ideas, they'll never be your own. You only know what's good for you, not some secondary voice. Noticing that split, you could say, that split of consciousness, that crack in consciousness, starts to heal that crack. Just noticing it. Because you start to see that, there's two. There's the voice that I'm listening to, and then there's the one that's listening. Which one is the real one? Well, it must be the one that's listening. And that must be silence. That must be what I am. Just innocent, pure consciousness, pure silence. So the more that you see that there's that split there's the one that's listening to the one that's talking, the more you'll be able to develop this knack of not listening to it. It's not your intuition. Your intuition is completely something else. Your intuition doesn't talk, right? It works through you, through your feelings. So the more you're quiet and in this place of silence, not listening to that voice, the more you start listening to your true voice, you could say, which is your intuition, through your feelings. And the more you move through life through your feelings and not through your thoughts, the more that it will become natural for you to let go when letting go is needed. When, you're riding the high of life and it starts to taper off, you'll be ready to let that go, to allow it to taper off. And when heaviness arrives in life, sad circumstances, challenging circumstances, you'll also be able to let go of that energy, that type of experience, that negative experience. And from there, you no longer have to be afraid of life, whatever happens next, because you won't be separating yourself from it anymore by listening to this outside voice.